First off, I want to introduce you to a rock climber. He's not afraid to face the cliff. Please welcome him, Jim Blackburn. How you doing, Jim?
I'm good.
Good. Have a seat. How long have you been rock climbing for, Jim?
About 3 years now.
3 years? And I see you brought some equipment with you. Can you kind of go through that and let us know what the gig is?
Sure thing. First thing I'd like to show you here is climbing shoes. Now, these are a little beat up and worn out a little bit, but it's from constant use. Basically, though, climbing shoe is rubber on the bottom sides, laces from the top to the bottom to really fit your feet very, very good, you know, kind of get that nice form and fit. The next thing here is, it's known as a chalk bag. Purpose of this is when you exercise, you tend to sweat. And as you can see, this is just basic chalk, like the kind you play pool with, or you know, you use for other things. It's to keep your hands dry, more or less, though, while you're climbing, so you don't slip off the rock as much. The next piece of equipment here is actually two pieces in one here. You can separate them, though. First thing here is known as a locking carabiner, and the reason why they call it that is it locks so you can't push it open again unless you twist the lock.
Okay, so you have to, it twists and
right.
Opens, and then once it closes,
and it locks
twists back
automatically.
Well, you know, that's good for...
Well, yeah, it's a definite safety device.
I think is that childproof?
No.
No? Okay.
Any child can operate it. Next piece of equipment is what's known as a figure-8 belay device. And this more or less is the piece that you run your rope through while you're holding the rope for the guy who's actually climbing. And then you can use this to make a break, and it doesn't let anybody fall to the ground.
Which is probably the most, you know, the primary thing you're worried about when you're rock climbing.
Right. And if we can stand up now, I can show you some of the other equipment I have on. For instance, I have on a climbing harness right here. And as you can see, it's got two leg loops and a waistband, and it's all connected together. Now, I left this piece hanging out here on purpose to make a point, and that is, whenever you rock climb, you always want to make sure that you're feeding it through the belt once and twice. So you do what's called a double back. Always double back your harness when you climb. It's very, very important.
What does that do? Just adds extra protection?
Exactly. It locks it off so that it doesn't slip while you're climbing, because when you put weight on this thing, you'll know why they like to double it back. Now, this harness has legs that are already in one piece that are non-adjustable, because I bought one that fits me. But some of them you can buy adjustable where you have to do the legs and you double back the legs as well.
So do you have like a guy named Manny who comes and takes your measurements and...
No, you can just
fit it to you?
You can pretty much buy one. They have them sized in the waist, and the average person of my size waist has this size of legs, approximately. I mean, I have a little bit of room in them, which is good. You want to have a little bit of room. You don't want them so snug that you're cutting off circulation.
Okay.
And anyway, on this belay device here, I'll show you how this works, and so that you can see how it keeps a person from falling and how simple it really is.
Okay.
First thing I want to do, though, is you make sure that you take your belay device, you open it up, goes through your waist and through the legs, so that way you take the weight in both areas, you know. And over here I have the infamous climbing rope. Now, this rope is a special rope just made for rock climbing, and the purpose of this kind of rope is called a dynamic rope, and it stretches so that when you fall, your body doesn't take the whole impact.
It's like a bungee cord.
More or less, but it doesn't stretch as much as a bungee cord. Okay. I mean, on a 30 to 40 foot fall, it'll stretch 5 to 7 feet. Through here now, if you notice, I'm leaving the end with the end here onto the right-hand side because I'm right-handed.
Okay.
Now you open up your carabiner, you put your rope through, and your belay device, like so.
Again, another double protection, like the double back.
Right, exactly. You want to keep it going through both here. Anyway, if you want to take that in right there, I can show you that with 2 fingers. Now, I mean, I recommend you use your whole hand, and some people even like to use 2 hands, but I can demonstrate what the pressure is with 2 fingers that you can't physically pull the rope through.
Right.
You know, and that's with 2 fingers only, just to give you an idea. I mean, it's because of the way it's breaking through there, you know, it works pretty good. Now, this particular setup right here, a lot of people don't like to use it this particular setup this way, because this piece is loose on here. And what can happen is while you're belaying, if you don't pay attention, it can pull the carabiner and the belay device up on the side like this, which can break the carabiner, because it's not meant to be used that way. It's meant to be used this way.
Okay.
Now, a way to avoid it is, take the rope out here and I'll show you. You can use this belay device in another fashion as well, which is the way I always do it, and I recommend that everyone else who does it should do it as well. You take the small end of it, put the rope, fold it in half like so, and you stuff it through the small end. Now, you take this end right here that you just stuffed through there and you hook it through your carabiner. Now, this thing looks funny because it's hanging loose, but it actually works really well, and it always stays down here, so you can see that this way is probably an even better break, you know, than the other way, because there's so much less going on.
Okay.
And it's a lot safer.
Now, what about the double protection factor? This kind of eliminates it, doesn't it?
Well, not necessarily. I mean, you're still going through the carabiner, and these carabiners can take, you know, 4,000 or 5,000 pounds of pressure before they break, and you know, let's see a 150, 200-pound man break one of these things. It's impossible.
Well, I mean, just don't let me at it, because that sucker's going to be going like that.
Okay, well, next line of business here is I will show you a common knot used in rock climbing that they use to tie in the harness for when you're climbing.
Like do not fall?
Right,
like
exactly.
That, yeah.
You want a knot that won't untie, basically. Now, this one's called a double figure 8 follow-through knot. Now, what you do is you wrap it around the rope 1.5 times like so, and you pull it through the loose end. And if you notice, you got a figure 8 now. Okay, now the reason why they call it a follow-through is because you put it back through here exactly the same places that you used it on the belay device on. Now, you follow the knot back through. I don't know if you're going to get this on camera, but we can try. You follow the knot back around and form a figure 8 going exactly the other direction. And then you follow, if you did it right, your end of your rope should be following the rope going to your other guy, which, as you can see, I have done. And that is a double figure 8 follow-through knot. Now, what a lot of people like to do is do another tie-off knot on top of here just as a extra precaution, you know. And there's a variety of knots that you can do. This is just one of that I happen to use, though.
Well, I gotta tell you,
so that's just a tie-off knot, you know. And you can see physically it's impossible to untie, because the only way it's going to come untied is if this piece here goes back through the knot. And what's tied to this piece? You are. So you physically can't go through that small of a hole. You know, the only way you're going to fall is if your protection fails or if the rope breaks, and the chances of that happening are very, very rare.
Well, that's definitely good. Is there anything that you can do, like stretches or exercises, to prepare yourself before you even begin?
Yeah, pretty much just the normal stretches that you've seen and done all your life at home and at school and whatnot. A lot of people like to just get the blood flowing to all the different muscles and stuff, and they want to make sure that they, you know, are completely warmed up before you go out, because if you start climbing right away without a warm-up, you're very, very likely to tear a muscle, and that's definitely something you don't want to do.
Okay, real quick, is there any place for someone who's never rock climbed before, is there any place here in Illinois that they can go to where they can kind of learn the ropes, quote unquote, and figure out if they like it or not?
Yeah, there's a variety of rock climbing gyms that you can go to. The closest one to here would be the North Wall in Crystal Lake. That's where I personally climb myself for training purposes and stuff like that. But there's a variety of places. You can go there, you can rent equipment, you can take lessons. They teach you everything from beginning to end. You don't have to know anything, and you don't have to be in good shape.
All right. Do you have any last-minute tips for us?
Basically, if you want to try rock climbing, I say that you should. Because anybody can do it.
All right, great. Thanks a lot, Jim. Coming up next, we have a fabulous musician, so you guys better not touch your dial or I'll break your fingers.